Let's get into it. What's going on, people? How we doing? Hey, Neil here. Welcome to the AlignMen Podcast. This is the Prelude. This is the introduction to the AlignMen Podcast on Dialogue Matters Network, Dialogue Matters TV on YouTube. Thank you all for joining me. Let me turn down this background music just a little bit so we can get into it. Because I don't want to waste too much of your time on episode one. I actually have to pick up my sister in the airport here in about an hour. But as promised, I said I would get this episode up today. And this is the year of alignment. This is the year of execution. It's 2025. Happy New Year, y'all. And so I'm going to get it done. So welcome. I do not take it for granted. And I really just want to let you know that I am honored that you would spend a moment to hear your brother out, to see what he has going on. I'm really excited about our Dialogue Matters TV platform on YouTube and what we're going to be bringing forth this year in 2025. And so what I'm presenting today is the AlignMen Podcast. And so this podcast is not just about, it's not just a show, but I see this as a necessity. I see it as a community. I see it as a space where the minds of men meet, right? Where our energy aligns to spark a conversation that is enlightening, right? That is empowering and that ultimately elevates the spirit. And when I tell you my spirit is so elevated right now, and the reason why it's elevated is because, at 39, I feel like I'm really moving into my purpose, right? And the reason why I feel like I'm moving into my purpose is because I feel this sense of gratification, right? The sense of peace, the sense of just contribution, right? That is bigger than me, right? I really feel like I am honoring the Creator by just putting myself in spaces, creating spaces, and operating from a frequency of love, of selflessness, And so that's the overarching vision of our Dialogue Matters brand, in our Dialogue Matters network, an ecosystem on YouTube, which we're carving out now. We're building as we speak by even recording this here. So I'm elevated. My spirit is elevated. And so with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the AlignMen Podcast. Because again, this wasn't initially intended on being the first podcast launched on our Dialogue Network. But as faith would have it, this is what's happening here, right? And just a little bit about the origin story. I created the spirit moved me to create a men's chat group amongst my family, amongst the men in my family back in November of last year. The spirit moved me to create this text thread, right? And it contains about 20 members of my family, from my father, from my brother. I have my son on there, which I talk a little bit about. All of my uncles. I have a lot of uncles on my mother's side. My mother comes from a pretty big family. So I have uncles, uncles by marriage, cousins, and younger cousins, and even nephews, right? That are getting older by the day. And so the spirit moved me to create this text group. That way, we can kind of just tap in with one another. I felt that as the men in our family, we weren't as close as, selfishly I would like us to be. And I had to look myself in the mirror and say, well, what are you doing? What role are you playing in trying to galvanize the men in your family? If nothing else, just to check in and see how they're doing, see how life is treating them where they are, let them know that, you love them, that you're praying for them, and, that you want to build with them. So that's what I did with the Iron Circle, which is the name of the group that I created. And it's been a real blessing to me. I've been getting a lot of great feedback from the men in my family, my uncles that's been participating, and some of my cousins and my brother and my father. So it's growing as we speak, right? Family members are becoming more comfortable. The men is just expressing themselves, even if it's just have a blessed day, praying for everyone and things of that nature. So that spawned, the AlignMen Podcast, right? So I was like, wow, how can I amplify what I'm trying to do amongst my family and really push a message out to the men in the world, particularly the men in my immediate community and my circle, because I have some amazing brothers that I'm in contact with that have an amazing story to tell, that have amazing journeys of triumph, right, of overcoming challenges, and so that's when the Alignment Podcast was born. And originally, I had this. It was created as a duo. I had a family member of mine, a good brother, a man of mine. We both were going to do this. It was going to be like a duo, but I prayed on it, and it just wasn't kind of fitting the vision that I had for this particular podcast. Right, I really wanted a space where I can just shine a light on the men, and they can really just, it's almost as a cipher, right? We just going back and forth. We're just sharing our journeys. We're sharing our stories, um, how we became the men that we are in the present moment. You know, again, the challenges that we had to overcome, the obstacles, and just ultimately the vision forward, right? Where do we want to go? How do we seek that alignment to really merge us into our purpose? And so that ended up with your brother here, hosting the Alignment Podcast, and I'm really really thrilled about it. So thank you again for joining me. I want to talk to you just a little bit about the mission and the vision of the podcast. And again, it's really simple, right? Because as you can see, the word alignment is a play on words of alignment, and that's what really the mission is about. It's about alignment, alignment of our minds, alignment of our spirit, alignment of our values, and the actions that we take every day as men. And I feel that it is really important, right? That especially as black men, is because we have this. For me, and I'll speak for myself, right? Being a black man is, it's both a blessing and is a burden. And what I mean by that, for me, I understand that I'm extremely blessed to, even at 39, to be where I am right now. Um, having, a roof over my head, having, a great profession, a great job. But I'll be remiss if I didn't say it wasn't challenging, right? Just those mental hurdles that comes with being a black man. The expectations, right? The obstacles, you know, we, we're often, and again, I'm speaking for myself, we often have to, um, how do I say this? I'm trying to be careful with my words, right? It's unscripted, but I don't want to get canceled on my first day. But we're often relegated to the narrative of other people, right? The narrative of the media, the narrative of, society. So I feel that it's important as black men is that we recapture, right, and control our own narrative. And I believe that means using our voices. And I think for far too long, as black men, right, we have that stigma of, you know, just be quiet, right? Don't express yourself, suck it up, just get it done. We are very resilient. We are resilient people. And that's the black community in general. We're very resilient. But as black men, we're told just to kind of tough things out, keep your head down and just get it done. And I know times have changed, and a lot of men in our community are really stepping up. There's a lot of men. I'm just thinking about, the brother down in New Era, Detroit, is doing some amazing things, and even here in Atlanta, you got the forgive me if I get this wrong, the New Boys Academy, and I believe I'm getting that name wrong, so forgive me. I'll definitely correct it in the in down below. But there are men that are creating organizations that are doing amazing things with our boys, and so as part of my journey, I intend to continue to have more impact, right? Both on the ground and using technology today to kind of amplify my reach and my contribution. So I feel it's vitally important, right? And that's part of the mission, right? Is to sit down and engage with brothers to hear their stories, right? That way we can extract those stories, right? We can lift each other up. We can pull from those stories, and then we can go out and equip ourselves with the tools that we need to really live a purposeful life and really contribute to a meaningful life, a meaningful way, for not only ourselves, but our families, again, and our communities as we walk a path full of empowerment. So that moves me to the vision of the AlignMen Podcast. And again, I kind of said it before, it's that amplification, right, of the stories, right? The amplification of the journeys, the day in the life of a man, a black man, as they navigate this world, and what they have extracted from their journey. So I want to amplify these stories on this platform in hopes that it helps us, realize our power, right? It helps us realize our potential. And again, it's about rediscovering or discovering our purpose, right? It's all about the purpose for me. And that's what the vision is just to amplify that here on the AlignMen Podcast. So I'm doing a lot of talking. I think I'm about maybe 10 minutes in. And I know I feel like I'm rushing just a little bit because I didn't kind of back myself up against a wall. My son had an appointment today, man. Life be lifing, as my wife like to say. But who is this brother that's sitting here talking? Because I know some of you may know me, a lot of you may not. So again, as I said, I'm ANEAL. First name is Aaron, but I'm originally from Champaign, Illinois, now residing in Atlanta, Georgia. But shout out to Champaign 217, Fighting Illini. I see that our football team just won a bowl game, had an amazing year. Shout out to the Fighting Illini football team. And had to rub it in. And my father-in-law, he's from South Carolina, so he's a Gamecock fan. So, I had to kind of poke at him a little bit, as our Fighting Illini whipped up on the South Carolina Gamecocks in the bowl game in Orlando just last week. And so shout out to them. And even our basketball team is looking really, really good. So shout out to our Fighting Illini sports teams. And again, Champaign, my hometown. That's what raised me, baby. So originally from Champaign. Of course, I'm a son. So I got to shout out to my mother, my father, Miss Patricia and Michael Neal. They just celebrated 43 years together. Man, all praises to the Most High. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for them. So shout out to my beautiful parents. I'm also a sibling. I'm the youngest of three. So I got a shout out to my brother, Antoine, Salute King, and my lovely, beautiful sister, Angela, again, who I have to pick up from the airport here in about an hour and some change. So I'll be doing that. So shout out to my siblings. Again, I'm the youngest of three. Again, I'm the youngest. You hear that, Angela, Antoine? Um, Shots fired. So, yeah, I love my siblings, and I'm a husband. I am a husband, proud husband. My beautiful queen, Miss Anna Neal. She's a strong, virtuous woman, brave woman to put up with a man like me all these years. We've been together for it'll be 24 years. It'd be 24 years this year in 2025, which is crazy. It's been a wild journey. It's been a beautiful journey. It's been a challenging journey, but it's been well worth it. And it's only getting better, right? Like wine, like fine wine, it gets better with time, And so I'm grateful for her, to have her in my life. And we produced two beautiful kids. We became parents young. So we had our first child while we were in high school. So we had a beautiful baby girl named Ariana. She is now 20 years old. Yes, 20 years old. I know. I don't look it. I know. You know what they say, That's fine wine. Like I said, you understand me, but she is 20. She is a junior. She's in her junior campaign at Columbia University in New York, right? Which I heard was a pretty good school. No, but she's very brilliant. She's very bright. She's very beautiful. And, I couldn't be more proud of her. And then I have my son, my young king, Aaron Jr. He's 14. He's in 8th grade. And again, man, he is just an amazing young man. Total polar opposite of me growing up, right? Where I was rambunctious, hyperactive, all over the place. He's just reserved. He's chill. He's laid back. He's a great kid, got a great heart. He's very smart. He's into cars, man. He's into, I mean, every car that goes by, he can tell you what type of motor it has in it, uh, everything, the performance of it, when it was made, if it, foreign, Japanese, domestic market. I mean, that's him. He's into those things. He used to be a skateboarder, but now, he's feeling himself now. So he's into fashion. He's 14. So I've been there. I get it. So, those are my two babies. That's a little bit about my family nucleus, but I'm also a cancer survivor. So, and I'm going back and forth if I really want to kind of get into the details of my cancer journey. Right now, I'll just say that, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. They found a cancerous tumor on one of my reproductive organs. But long story short, by the grace of God, I had the surgical procedure to remove that tumor. It was successful. It was localized, meaning the tumor was localized to actually, where it was attached to again on my body. And there was no signs of spread. And then the pathology test would later confirm that there was no signs of spread. And I just had my 2-year scans, 2.5 year scans just back in November of last year. And I am happy to report that all is clear. Nothing remarkable. There's nothing remarkable on the imaging of my CT scan, and the actual x-ray of my chest. So I'm still here. And again, when I tell you my spirit is elevated, my spirit is elevated. So I'm so grateful. But these are the challenges that, made me who I am today. Just like there's challenges that I know you've gone through that made you who you are today. And we're going to explore these stories, right? This podcast was really birthed on the desire to explore these stories, again, amongst us men. So I'm really excited about it. And, we're going to have a bunch of guests on here, again, from family members to friends that I've grown up with that are doing amazing things. Um, I have friends all across the country who don't know I'm gonna reach out to them, but maybe after seeing this, they might get an inkling, because I got brothers on the West Coast that I've been keeping an eye on. I got brothers down south in Texas. I got family members in Texas that I'm going to be reaching out to. Of course, I got my family members scattered all over, even back at home, who I've been watching and keeping an eye on, through social media from time to time when I have the time, that I'm going to be reaching out to. So I'm just blessed to have a wealth of good brothers um, and family members that I can lean on to get some wisdom, right? Get them to share their stories. And that's what this podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about us brothers just having that space where we can just dialogue. We can just talk. We can talk about anything and everything. It's really going to be unscripted. As you see now, I'm kind of just freestyling off the top, because that's what I want. I want that authentic, right? I want that authentic nature. I don't want it to seem like, I'm reading or anything like that, because then it won't be real. And that's not what we're going for here. We want the raw, we want the real, we want that organic conversations. So that's what you're going to get with the Alignment Podcast. So I invite you guys to really stay tuned. I really wanted to keep this introduction, this prelude episode short, just to kind of, set the tone of what's coming. Again, if you seem to enjoy, or if this sounds like something that you may be interested in following or taking part of, because this is very interactive. I'm going to be in the comments. I'm going to be posing questions, and at some point in time, we're going to start doing some live sessions. So I'm going to really be just going live with people and men, so they can kind of express themselves and tell me their stories, right? So I would invite you to I would invite you to subscribe and to share this Dialogue Matters Network on YouTube. This is the Alignment Podcast. I am your good brother ANEAL, and I hope that you enjoyed these brief 20 minutes with me today as I introduce the Alignment Podcast, where it's all about the minds of men coming together, right? Where our energy is aligned to spark conversations that engage, that empower, that enlighten, and ultimately elevate the spirit. This is the Alignment Podcast. And I thank you for being with me today, your brother ANEAL. Until next time, let's stay aligned.